Every morning, Carl will be awakened by cold water. It was done by a white chief. The officer ordered him out. But when the black guy just ran out, the sir kept shooting him with a high-pressure water tube. Drag him to the bucket. Put his head in the water over and over again. This is not the first time black people have been oppressed. Carl encountered white men in the military academy. They spit dirty things on his pants. Saw him walk into the dormitory. A white man said, "I don't live in the same room with niggas." All the white people packed up and left. Only Carl came to his bed. Facing outright discrimination, Carl can only bear it because his family is a peasant farmer, graduated from Naval Academy. Is his only chance to change his destiny. The thing that can be targeted has not been resolved. New trouble has arisen because Carl dropped out of school in 7th grade. He only scored 37 points in the cultural test. If you continue to fail, he will be forcibly dropped out of the Naval Academy. No one in the school wants to teach him. Carl took advantage of the weekend to go out, came to the library, seeking a literate black woman, teach him to learn professional naval knowledge. From morning to night, he learned from the woman a little bit. Finally, at the next exam, Carl scored a full 76 points. Finally, he passed the first level. The second day is underwater combat training. Two recruits dived into the water to repair the lifeboat. Who knows that the lifeboat sinks suddenly while it's shaking? The breathing tube of one of the recruits was stuck tightly on the ship's body. At urgent situation, Carl on the ground immediately applied for rescue. He carried another breathing tube. Find the location of two teammates. He came to the trapped teammate, just unplugged the breathing tube. The hull shook again. Carl quickly stabilized, but at the same time, the teammate without snorkel support will suffocate and die soon. At crucial moment, the other comrade actually even persuaded, leave the remaining two and run away. Carl did not give up. He quickly installed another breathing tube, successfully saved his teammate's life. After returning to the ground, he ordered the deserter to go out. Not only didn't blame him, he was even awarded the Navy Hero Medal, praise for self-sacrifice. He did this to insult Carl. Let him know, black people can't get any honor in a white school. Quickly Carl received the news. His father died of illness. He had to pull 2 donkeys every day, plowing the fields under the scorching sun. And his father left before he even got to the point. Thinking of that, Carl is very sad. Carl suddenly didn't want to bear it. He went directly to the chief who oppressed him. He wanted to challenge him. Carl put on a diving helmet to challenge the white chief. When the water flooded their noses, the suffocation match started. First 2 minutes, both sides looked natural without blinking their eyes. To the 4th minute, the sir can't hold it anymore, but he can't stop because of his face. Carl is also approaching his limit. The people who watched the game began to look worried. Soon the chief's nose began to bleed, but he still refuses to take off his diving helmet. The subordinates can't look down. They hurried forward to unlock the diving hat for the chief, rescue him from the brink of death. This game, Carl, who was black, won, but he still didn't win the respect of the chief. Carl, who returned to the dormitory a few days later, saw that piece of paper. It is written, "We will drown you, nigga." This time the chief threatened him personally. He said to him, "Tomorrow is the graduation exam for the Naval Academy. He's better not come. He won't let him pass." Carl didn't dare. Instead, he forgave the sir. Sir was angry. He actually picked up his radio and smashed it. Carl was extremely angry. That was the only gift his father left him during his lifetime, but he didn't do it. Even if tomorrow is over, the next day, the rules for graduation exams are simple. Just assemble this part correctly under the water. They can pass the exam. Carl puts on a diving suit. After diving into the water, he quickly found the target part. He applied for the toolkit from the staff on the ground. Who knows, before throwing the kit, the chief ordered people to cut the bag. Toss the bag. All the parts are scattered. Carl under the water was taken aback first. Then he started to explore the parts a little bit. One person finished the exam soon. At night, only Carl is still underwater. He has been there for 9 hours. The huge cold surrounds him. His hands were shaking, with parts on one side. The chief used the walkie-talkie to persuade Carl. He will die if he continues like this. Carl did not respond. In a while, the sir can't help it anymore. He ordered people to pull Carl up. The teammate who has bullied Carl took the lead to stand up. Hurry up to get Carl ashore. But suddenly the rope next to it tightened. Zip up and have a look. It's Carl's part. It was actually installed. Carl slowly climbed ashore. Open diving helmet. He has been frozen so much that his face is purple, but the eyes are still firm. Finally, the chief was convinced by him. He said, "Carl Brashear, 9 hours and 3 minutes. The mission is completed. That's all." Carl uses his tenacious beliefs. Successfully graduated from the Naval Academy. Before leaving, he also found the radio that was smashed by the chief that day has been repaired again. And this is just the beginning for Carl. His goal is not to be a diver, but a chief sergeant. A few years later, he finally waited for the opportunity. He received an assignment to find a nuclear bomb in the deep sea. But suddenly, a submarine was approaching in front of him. He hurried away. The snorkel is hooked by the wing. Directly pull him forward. Wait for the rope to fall off the wing. The propeller of the submarine rushed towards him. Carl hurriedly hid, only to avoid the submarine's impact. Things were not over yet. Just when Carl was about to return to the ground, he suddenly found the nuclear bomb. It should be caused by the submarine lifting up half of the seabed just now. A blessing in disguise. He salvaged the nuclear bomb, but suddenly, the rope above was loose. One piece of equipment fell off, cut his left leg. Wait for Carl to wake up again. He was already in the hospital. He was not too sad, but applied to the doctor, put himself on a prosthesis. After putting on the prosthesis, he insisted on strength training in a gym every day. But the strength of the prosthesis was not enough. His legs were shaking. He just did a few stretches. His legs didn't have the strength to support. He couldn't do strength training. Carl began to practice skipping rope, but he didn't jump twice. The rope tripped over the leg. Finally, he adapted to the rhythm. He tried to jump on both feet. The injury on his leg hurt him to death. He fell directly to the ground. Just when he was extremely upset, the chief, who hasn't seen for many years, appeared. He's here to help Carl. He told him the colonel in the Navy is going to give him a medical evaluation meeting. Until then, he will force Carl to retire. To help Carl, the chief came to confront the colonel. He asked for 4 weeks of training time for Carl. The colonel simply refused, but he just wanted to go out. A group of reporters surrounded the door. Everyone cared about this national hero. Can he get a just judgment? They can't get off the stage now. They can only promise. The chief began to help Carl train. Carl's recovery went smoothly. He soon reached the level of a normal soldier. This day is the court day. The colonel made things difficult for Carl, said. He is almost 40 years old with a handicapped leg. Can he be as strong as compared to a diver with half his age? Carl said no problem. The colonel immediately ordered his men to bring a set of diving suits. Total weight 290 pounds. If he can walk 12 steps in it, it proves that he is capable. Carl agreed. The chief stepped forward to put on his diving suit. He asked Carl to be lifted up. Because the process from sitting to standing, Carl's weight will double. But the colonel didn't agree. Carl had no choice but to work hard to stand up slowly. It consumes most of his energy. He began to move forward slowly, step by step. When he reached the 7th step, it was already his limit. Took the 8th step. Carl's feet suddenly cracked. The people present became nervous. The colonel told him not to move. Only the chief yelled to let Carl go on. Endured the great pain. Carl took 1 step forward again. Every step was tearing the wound of his broken leg. Every step was on the edge of the limit of his body. At last, Carl still walked to the chief. He succeeded. There was no applause, only was the silence. The colonel stood up. Carl was officially reinstated. Thunderous applause from the audience. In the history of the U.S. Navy at the time, Carl became the first disabled person who can be reinstated. This is a true story. 2 years later, Carl became the first black man who is the chief sergeant of diving. He has been telling us with his actions, the true respect is achieved by hard work. Thank you for watching.